And we're now officially live to another episode of Scum Live, and you've noticed I'm not actually alone this time. Hey there, guys. Name's Adam.
I'm into
He's a regular in our guest chat, and he decided to take one for the team effectively, because otherwise I was going to ride solo, and he had a copy of the book. And it's an interesting dumpster fire of a book.
Patreon.
Page 38. We're starting on stealth and security, but do not worry, we're probably going to skim through quite a bit of this.
All right. Hopefully everyone can hear me. I have
We've
using my
had some
computer, so I
audio
don't.
issues, including me trying to speed run eating a hamburger. It did not go well. So stealth and security, just a little bit of mechanics before we probably speed run through this, because as far as I can tell, they're pretty solid. So a place's security level represents how hard it is to sneak through. Most places have an overall security level, but the GM can assign a higher one to unique challenges or raise it mid-stealth to add tension. And there's examples they give. Essentially, mall cop to corporate security. As for how stealth works, it's a 2d6 system, and you use your appropriate stats, clever or quick. And they even give you verses for the enemy, so you're kind of opposed rolling. Kind of. It's more that you're trying to beat a number. It's, fairly solid, I'd say. Although I'd say because of the security level, well, I think clever or quick only goes up to +3, so it's fine. I think it's a fine I think it's fine for what they want.
I'm
And
looking at the
hmm?
sorry, I'm looking at the maintain self says at the GM's discretion, certain tasks that wouldn't normally require a roll may require one in stealth. So it is a bit more of a GM's choice in using this.
Yeah, it's kind of that powered by the apocalypse nonsense where they kind of expect you, the GM, to kind of pick up for the lack of what they do. It's just this gives you more tools than normal. Hey, I'm not complaining. It's better than powered by the apocalypse. That is, ooh. You need to use moves, but you, the GM, do not actually have moves. And on top of that, outside of the one specific area we thought of, well, tough shit. Example stealth scene. Oh, this is just an example of how the mechanics work.
How do you pronounce those names?
Frob and Manaya. Manaya? I know the first
Mania?
one's Frob. You know what I've noticed that in every visual bit of art recently, people are just either uncomfortable or there's some uncomfort or just some weird tension in the air in the sexual sense. Because in the previous ones you have unwarranted pass and a guy sticking his tongue out in a, I don't know, Looney Tunes wolf whistle kind of way. I don't know, it's weird. And now
Like it's
you
trying to be
have
in
hmm?
like it's trying to be in the anime style, but by people who don't know how to draw it.
They hired Tumblr artists. They're trying to go for Cowboy Bebop and Trigun. They're getting Steven Universe. Can't
Oh,
can't quite get there. Then we got our. I don't know how to describe this guy. He's trying to come off as cool, but he kind of comes off as a loser.
Gary says,
Hydri Ted.
yeah, and is a lie.
Oh Jesus Christ, that
Oh,
fucking meme.
oh no. Oh yeah, I just saw it. The cake
Jesus
is a lie.
Christ. See what I mean about the fluff being amazing? Like,
Amazing is one word to put it.
oh yeah, it's awe-inspiring, on the negative sense. Hacking the cylinder. Oh God. Okay, so how familiar are you, Imsit, with just cyberpunk games in general?
I mean, I know that there's hacking involved.
Okay.
Haven't really played one.
You've never touched Shadowrun or Cyberpunk, and that's fair. So Cyberpunk and Shadowrun, they both tried it, and it doesn't work. The reason is it's mechanically, it's the GM and the hacker kind of going on their own side adventures as everyone else is doing their own thing. You kind of have to double book sessions. Doesn't really work. Most people abstract that out. Let's see how this system does it. I'm actually curious about this. This is the only bit of hardcore mechanics I think we'll cover because, oh boy, there's a lot of book. Where there's a system, there's a hacker. Hacking in Hardwired Island is like being social, but you're trying to make the computer more friend. Oh God. That is the worst way to describe hacking I've ever read. Oh boy. So, same setup, network level, and I bet the number you have to beat's 5. It's simple, I'll give it that. Let me look. Yep, it's the same system, 5 versus network level. So I'll give it that. What I won't give them is the weird anime cat boy. What are we doing? Watch Dogs 2? Is that a frickin' MacBook that he has, by the way? Is that a MacBook?
I would
I need to
assume
zoom in.
so by the fact that it just looks like someone's MacBook.
Oh god, it even has an ironic smug cat on it,
Or
and,
Dell.
and a binary joke. What? What? Oh god, he has a frickin' collar.
Oh no.
Oh wow. Beats by Dre. Yeah. Yeah, this is fighting the oppression by getting Beats by Dre, a $200 headset. Network mood. This represents the kind of access you have and how actively it's trying to stop you. I mean, I'll give it this. At least it's not hijacking the entire session like the other two are, but this is one of the worst ways I think you can do hacking. So these are the moods. There's friendly, indifferent, hostile, and basic. Basic's a mood. It's just base. It's just for really simple stuff, like you're trying to open a can opener or something.
Hostile. It becomes IT Alcatraz if you guess the password wrong 3 times.
Oh, where's that?
That's right above basic.
Ah, hostile. It becomes IT Alcatraz. It'll try to learn your identity and rat you out to authorities. If you drop your ghost, do they actually explain what a ghost is? I don't think they do. Maybe they did earlier. Oh, ghosting. Ghosting is the hacker's ability to remain unseen and undetected. I don't think that's how that works, but okay. Such a network can become instantly friendly, but most of the time you just want to get in and out again fast. Simple hack. Spoof. Spoofing or bypassing a password. Alright. Charm. Convince a system you have it's treating hacking like social activity. You can just what? Can you seduce the computer? I mean, maybe. This dude's wearing a pet collar and staring with creepy lip smacking intent at the MacBook he's using. Maybe he's on a date with the computer. Who knows? Social engineering. You can bypass an obstacle in a network without directly hacking it by instead phishing a password or key out of a human adjacent to the network. Hey, they actually use the thing that they kind of understand. It's probably because it's IT 101. Interrogate the computer. Computers are people in this timeline. The Tetsuo job. Oh no, it's the cat boy again. You press a button and oh no, the security systems have all gone horribly wrong.
Yeah, make it look just like the hacking in any film. It's just random key tapping, and then
Now my question is, do the hackers have autism? That's a very common one.
I'm assuming that.
Do they have autism superpowers?
I'm assuming everyone who's in this game is autistic in some degree.
I mean, he's wearing a cat hoodie and a pet collar with a bell on it. Or she, I don't know. It's very androgynous, very Steven Universe. I think they're going for like what was his name? Extreme Ed. The character Ed from Cowboy Bebop. Maybe they're kind of going with that kind of that style, maybe, but really bad. Oh no, it's a Twitch thought streamer. Oh man, these pictures are amazing.
Wait, the person they're hacking, why do they have an American flag?
Because America bad.
But isn't it? Isn't the station they're on like not owned by any country?
It isn't
Maybe
owned
best to make
by
like
any
a corporate
country.
flag.
It isn't owned by any country. It's just America bad. My guess is maybe it's supposed to be like a bike jacket or a style, and they just screwed up, or they have to make it America. If it's a Tetsuo corporation, wouldn't it be more of a like a Japanese Zaibatsu?
Yeah. Or maybe it's that cyberpunk thing of you just have the companies be named Japanese because of the fear of you know, Japanese in the 80s.
Well, no, this is clearly. I remember Acura. I remember. Oh God, yeah, it's just a nod to Acura because he's wearing like a bike jacket. It's just a reference to the original gang that Tetsuo was a part of. How embarrassing! Not as embarrassing as Twitch thought streamer here.
I'll scroll down more.
Hacking the cylinder. Twitch thought streamer drinking B something cola. I'm just gonna go with Royal Crown or like not Pepsi. If you pay them $100, they might take off their sock so that they can start the bidding process.
Is that the same character? Because now they've gone from dog to bunny.
No, different hairstyle and
They just
face.
look exactly the same.
Well, yeah, they hired the same they hired the same people on Fiverr probably. I mean, this one at least tried to make them look a little more like an anime character. Let's give them that at least. Oh God, I just realized they have a beanie on. They sewed rabbit ears on a beanie.
And I think there's that Soy Young character below.
Ah, yes, the when we last saw her, she was very creepily looming in on. Is that the same girl that she was creepily looming in on? Let me look.
Yes.
You heard it here first. Uncomfortable coercion can work. What is it with what is it with RPG makers sometimes doing that? I mean, at least this time it seems more receptive. Getting into fights, the arena. The arena defines the area around the fight. Oh God, are they doing it like it? They're actually seeing it like a genuine video game RPG here. This is the battle map. Oh, oh God. Oh God, they're treating it like a Mortal Kombat game or something.
Make attack actions in two parts. So
Oh,
meaning every time you have an attack and then something else. No full action.
making an attack roll and do. Oh, that's their attempt at. See, every I don't know how Traveler worked, but ever since original D&D BX, the White Book, there's always been a move action, free action, swift action, and attack action. Standard. This is just the RPG equivalent. I'm more horrified at the concept of describing the book as the area as an arena because that just it has video game logic, and I don't think you should be writing an RPG book, if you have video games in mind.
I straight up thought Oblivion as soon as you said it.
Oh yeah, like for a minute there, I honestly thought, what, are we gonna fight the Gray Prince? Do we have to fight like Team Yellow again? I was also envisioning the trash fire because of this clothing style. It kind of reminded me of Overwatch in a way. Like, is that how it's gonna work? Do they
It's got
do
as much
do they
world
have?
building as Overwatch.
Yeah. New attacks. When a player wants to do something not covered by the attack actions, you can make one up. You can just invent your own technique. It's like, well, I mean, it's inspired by anime. That's fair. And here are your action moves, which unfortunately is reminding me more and more of Powered by the Apocalypse. Actually, this might be Powered by the Apocalypse, but heavily reworked. The way they're describing the. Then again, I think I might be a little too hard on it, like too knee jerky on it, because these are moves you can also do in D&D. Like cover, that works in D&D. It works in Cyberpunk. Grapple, that's in D&D. Hunker down, that's actually in most modern settings. Pin down, yeah. Okay. It's not as
Run
bad as I
away.
thought. Run away.
You must roll 2d6 plus quick versus 7 plus number of opponents. If you fail, they all make a free attack against you. If any of them hit and deal damage, you don't flee, even if it's mitigated to 0.
Oh,
If you
that's
succeed,
trash.
you're
That's actually trash because in most games, if you run away, you essentially, like, yeah, they sometimes get actions on you, but the whole point is you speed up and they can't really catch you unless they try to pursue really hard. Like in Dungeons and Dragons, I know I keep going back to D&D because it's kind of the Earth standard, but in D&D, you can disengage and just run away 4 times your speed. Yeah, they can sometimes still hit you, but it works. Same with Cyberpunk. You can disengage and basically move at stupid amounts of your movement. This is one of the first games that actually punishes you, kind of, by trying to run away. Oh, actually, it really is punishing you because look, the bar that you have to beat 7. Most of them are
oh,
usually between or around 5.
yeah, that is.
You cannot escape from their RPG battle.
I mean, depending on how many enemies you have, you might not ever be able to beat that.
Yeah, because to give you an idea, I think your quick bonus can only go up to +3. I'd have to double check again. So all you have to do is run into like 5 guys, and there's high odds you'll never succeed. Because the 5 guys just completely negates your D6. That's actually one of the worst runaway mechanics I think I've seen. Although I
Thinking
will
about
give
it,
credit to this book. They put more thought into this than most other RPG books that we've read over the years.
damage and harm. It's on the next page. Taking damage, if you're hit by an attack, you mark box 1. So it's not even HP, it's just if the attack has a higher success, it just does more damage.
Oh, they're kind of going with the World of Darkness, Chronicles of Darkness wounds mechanic. Kind of. I think it's also used. I think it's also used in Savage Worlds. I've never touched Savage Worlds, but it kind of reminds me of that.
The most experience I have with RPGs is Dark Heresy, at least running it. Uh,
Uh, yeah, Dark Heresy just has wounds. This is just more. It's a checkbox that, yeah, if you get at a certain point, you're just done. Also, kind of reminds me of Cyberpunk's mechanics, but I think it's most based on World of Darkness. I'm not
So
gonna
not only
complain.
is so not only is this blending all the different kinds of cyberpunk, it's just blending all the different kinds of RPG rules.
And I mean, I don't hate it because that gives it more structure than most of your average, Powered by the Apocalypse. Like, Thirsty Sword Lesbian uses Powered by the Apocalypse. Because it's not focused purely on sword fighting, when they try to do other things with it, most of them fail. This has enough rigidness and enough details that you can actually play a game with it. I'm not going to critique someone for ripping off something and then actually kind of reworking it. Although, given that the number of successes done on you can stack pretty quickly, this does make it fairly high lethality.
So despite that, they don't seem to have a death state, just minor injuries, harm, serious harm, and incapacitated.
Yep, you're incapacitated. You're knocked out, stunned for the remainder of conflict, or trapped under debris. If you have to mark box 6 again, though, you risk death. And you have to be rescued, resuscitated, or otherwise stabilized within 1 minute, or 3 rounds if you're using initiative. So, no, they do have death. You just have to get 6 again.
Looking at the problem with combat, sort of subparagraph says the rules for combat actions are placed after the other actions because they're meant to be a tool of last resort. They're what you use when you can't talk to, hack, or avoid your problems. People who try violence first tend to be messed up or worse, policemen.
You're, you're oh man, that's an amazing joke. Oh god, they're serious, aren't they? Oh man, you
Isn't
watch.
this isn't this cyberpunk? You're supposed to have some action, either cybernetic weapons or swords or something.
And sometimes you can't talk to a company. In Cyberpunk, the main big bad Arasaka is essentially run as almost as a pure dictatorship, and the massively ancient owner is a hyper nationalist for Japan. You can't talk to that. They won't let you. Like corporations in here, oh, you congratulations, you managed to talk your way out of the fight, but because they know you, they got paid with a silver bullet. Now they're going to turn you in because corpos pay way more than anything you can do.
And given the most likely political perspective that the guys make this game, wouldn't they be for violence in some cases,
My
especially against those corporate entities?
To a degree, but to me, the thing that baffles me is they're big fans of the '90s animes that they mentioned, like Ghost in the Shell and Cowboy Bebop. But for fuck's sake, you see what they do in those animes. Yeah, some of them are fairly reluctant about killing people, but it's part of the job. Like if you're going to say do some net running to screw up a dude's electronics suite in a company, you're probably going to make heads roll. Like you're not a better person just because you managed to get in and out without causing too much violence. In a way you are, but in a way you're not. Because that person's life is screwed. Like the security manager of that place, Corpo's gonna just feed him to the fishes. Now I'm not justifying the violence aspect. I get what they're going for. It's so ham-fisted. Oh, actually no, I don't get what they're going for because they tend to be messed up or worse policemen. That's the thing that gets me.
It's just a dig against police.
And yet, despite that, the moment they even hear anyone entering their apartment, they'll scream for the police. Which, to me, is the most detestable thing about that. Like, you can criticize the police. There's a lot of problems. Unions tend to be too protective of their most disruptive members. The people teaching firearms basics tend to be the older lots, which tend to be more firm on what they think and believe in. Um, they don't do. They don't teach basics on how to talk to people. Things like that. There's issues you can resolve with, but if you're gonna go this route, you probably shouldn't also immediately, with pure hypocrisy, use them as soon as you're inconvenienced.
Yeah, it's them trying to score a political point in a book that I'm assuming people that play it already have their political values.
But violence is still on the table. Sometimes it's in self-defense. Sometimes the possibility of violence is enough. Some people are much more willing to accept nonviolent solution when Plan B is looming in the background. And sometimes you just want to have a cool action scene. That's okay. Don't be afraid to fight if you need be. Just be sure you explore all the options. Oh
But you're also
yes,
given
I'm sure the giant robot that has the brain patterned off of an aggressive hornet. I'm sure I can communicate with the aggressive territorial hornet robot that is threatening to turn my bones into cement.
given that they do stress in the actions, like take cover, run away,
Hmm.
um, and the high lethality, it could be saying, yeah, there's going to be violence, but you don't have to engage in it. But
It's
obviously, if you're in combat, you have to do the actions necessary to fight or to flee.
my big problem is it's how it's written. It's all in its tone. We had that
Oh yeah,
problem with Extreme Meat Punks, which was so insipid we couldn't finish it. If the tone was combat should be a last resolve, because at the end of the day, either you or the mook you're fighting is going to walk away from that one. It's not always going to be you. This is a game that's high lethality. And on top of that, sometimes talking's better, either for your own self worth or self. It's all in how you package the word. And they screwed that up. Especially when you remember what they're inspired by. All those cool 90s animes that are based in the sci-fi future where they actually do a lot of murder. Yes, the characters are seen as screwed up usually, but at the same time, what do people remember from those scenes? From the series usually. Could be the
the cool
characters,
action scenes.
but it's the action scenes. I'm kind of glad we're taking a slower pace. I was originally going to just speed run through this. Well, maybe that's why they're not a fan of action. Look, she had to break her leg to essentially backwards kick this guy.
Yeah, it looks not even just a backwards kick; it's like extending the hip and then doing a backwards kick. That,
Oh no,
that
no,
hip
it's
is
not even
broken.
connected to the hip. It's just the leg has moved up to where the side of the stomach is and rotated backwards wrong. It's
Okay,
because
but
it's a composite shot.
they only have like 7 colors.
And it's all in the Steven Universe color font, if you've noticed. Like it has that CalArt style.
Yeah, in a way,
I
a little
don't.
bit more on the anime side.
It's trying to. It's more effort than what CalArts usually does. Oh no, we got. I, I don't know why, but as soon as I saw this dude, I began laughing.
What the Johnny Cage ripoff in the was
The
it the trans flag
It
shirt?
is the trans flag. Hey, Pagan Pilot. Everyone's very sunburned. They forgot to install UV shielding. I wouldn't be surprised. Although if that's the case, they'd all be dead. Like no offense, you would be dead in space because of how radiation works. No, no, seriously. If there's ever any rumors of, say, a nuclear meltdown, or if you ever get close to a thing and you see blue flash of light, make peace with yourself. Because let's just say acute radiation sickness is the nastiest way to go, in my opinion.
Honestly, if you look at the ghouls from Fallout, that's not too far off from what people looked like.
Yeah, only theirs is a fate worse than death because they can't die. Well, they can, but that process ain't doing it for them. Oh god, it's that one character from Homestuck. Oh, is that what they're ripping off? I've never actually read Homestuck. I never got around to it. I think I tried like a little bit way, way, way back in the day, and it just wasn't for me.
All I know is that the people that liked it, I wasn't a part of that crowd.
I gave it a brief try because occasionally I'd read webcomics. Most of them weren't good, but every now and again. I'm just staring in amazement at because let's just be honest, this is the one of the cringier images in here. Because we got Johnny Bravo announcing Trans Lives Matter with a samurai sword that he stole from Jack.
So is he carrying an inhaler or a USB stick on his neck?
I'm going to go with the inhaler because it makes it funnier.
Or is it a vape?
And then we got Mr. I'm wearing a fucking shirt that says the cake is a lie. There's nothing you can do to fix your series when you have something like that on it.
Is that guy's name Tiger Shark?
Yeah, that's the thing. They don't actually tell you who's who. Do you know who's who? Because I sure as hell don't.
I mean, I could probably look back, but
The
it's not
fact that
worth the
we have
effort.
to is a mild failure on their part. Yeah, I don't feel like doing that.
I think Tiger, actually, if you scroll down, I think Tiger Shark's the robot character punching the anime guy in the stomach.
Oh, is that who he's supposed to be?
It's,
I thought that was what was it Forb, Jorb, whatever the hell that one guy was called.
I have no. You know what? Probably Tiger Shark is the guy, considering he's got the Hydra logo on him.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, the guy with the cake is a lie shirt's Tiger Shark. Okay. They have some. These are like some of the worst names. Oh, now his name's Lee. Now the robot is named Lee. He wasn't called that originally, but now he is. Also, I guess Lee's a Pokemon since he has quick attack. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, as soon as I said that, the runaway action just. Oh, God. That's Johnny Bravo and Dirk Strider's love child. Oh, that's what their name is. Running missions. A mission is any organized activity with the group works together to achieve a major goal. Infiltrating a corporate building to gather incriminating evidence, blah, blah, blah. Basically, it's when the party rocks together to do a thing.
Well, they all say it's for a university group project. I do not remember hacking, fighting. To be quite honest, probably that much social interaction going on during a university group project.
I'm just trying to envision like how you can make a mission of a university project. Like what do you have to hack into your own university's database to change the grades or something?
Actually, could be one.
Do you have to steal or dismantle your rivals in the class's own projects because yours is a failure? I'm just trying to envision it, and it's a fun thought experiment, but it's just kind of a. I think they're going for quirky, but it just comes off as cringe every time they do it. Like you get that feeling where they're trying to be funny, but it's just not landing, and any sense of humor you had is slowly being strangled by the Johnny Bravo man in his shirt strangling you with his inhaler.
Yeah, I can
I mean,
get that feeling.
I'll give this book this. You can make an animatronic Chuck E. Cheese robot scream "Witness me" and rebel against his masters. That's entertaining. That is entertaining. It's just that's the only form of entertainment I can get. Preparation. The main benefits of missions is that you can prepare for them. Really? There are such things as time-sensitive missions that you can't actually prepare for, by the way. Like, let's say for example, you're gonna do a bust on a evil. Let's go with Evil Corp or Widget Corp, Widgets Incorporated. Widgets has an evil MacGuffin that if they use it, will instantly make it so that your job is rendered mostly pointless because it's automated, right? And you want to stop that. So
So it's industrial sabotage.
so you have to do industrial sabotage, but the problem is you find out that they're moving it to a new part of the space colony. So you don't really have time to actually plan that really, not too well because it's like a last minute move. Or maybe a friend of yours has been trapped by the evil Amaze Co. Amaze Co. who enslaves the destitute in their wage cages and works them 24/7 until they drop. Which I think sounds more of a horrible. I don't know how to describe it. But basically, you got to free them from the cage. And while you could maybe plan for it, like they've been gone for a week, they might not be alive by the time you get there, Some missions you can't prep. I genuinely think there are some missions you cannot prepare for. So what does preparation do? It takes roughly a day. Tough shit if you have a time crunch. What does prep do? Acquiring assets. All right. For every points you beat the difficulty by reduce the assets price by 1. Pay the final price in cash. Okay. Spending prep. Activate items. All right. Boost
I
defense,
actually,
boost a roll, ignore damage.
I actually do like this because it would force players to think of what's going to happen.
No, I'm aware. I'm just kind of nitpicking because sometimes you can't do that prep stage, in my opinion. Either because you have to react to what's going on, or you just don't have the time to do a whole day's worth. But no, I don't have issues with the concept of you using prep to kind of resolve issues as the mission goes on. You can use prep to get an anime flashback. I'll give them credit. They're trying to do an anime, and that's actually very anime right there. No, I don't dislike prep. I'm nitpicking mainly because there are times where I don't think you should be able to have it.
I have a feeling, yeah, that will also be up to the GM's discretion.
Do they actually say that? No, they don't. I'm just gonna roll with probably you should. Don't get me wrong. If it's just you're sneaking into Evil Corp to steal their widget, you probably have all the time in the world. Well, not all the time in the world, but you got time.
I have a feeling, though, that it says there's personal prep and group prep. The group prep is the thing that takes a longer time. So,
Yeah, group prep takes how long? About a week. As for acquiring assets, you like how paying for anything increases your financial burden by 1. Yeah, financial burden is a stat you have to track.
sometimes you may be able to pay 1 cash to rent the asset. So you can rent your equipment, which actually, I don't,
Cyberpunk did that actually. I'm not critiquing it. That's Cyberpunk
that,
had that as an option. Like sometimes you can't get a certain equipment. So what you do is you take out a loan with a corporation to get some of the equipment that you want to kit in. Now the thing is though, that corporation now essentially owns you at least until you pay off your debt. And those debts can be quite predatory. But it was a neat way that if you're running bust, you can do something for a corporation for favor, or you just throw yourself at the wheel and they'll give you what you want, but it's a Faustian bargain.
that is a bit more complex.
Yeah, so I'm not actually crapping on the concept. I've just seen it in a better format, but since this is going for simple, I'm okay with it. See what I mean about how I think the mechanics of this book aren't too bad usually?
Yeah, it seems mechanics are fine. It's just the fluff is
The cynical fluff too, because you get the feeling that they were making this game and then they decided to flavor it for the market as they were making it.
it really gives them too much credit.
Oh, I've seen some pretty cynical responses. So, yep, prep, explore, example prep before the party. Oh no, it's the cat thing again.
It's got a bell on it now.
Oh no, it always had the bell. It's part of the collar, the slave collar it wears. Here's a guy disturbing a cashier because they want liquor, I think. Let me look.
Uses journalism and cool to pump his contacts for info, by which it looks like just means hang somebody.
Yep. Oh, that's his wheeling and dealing ability.
Ah,
He's paying a girl to join him on this mission. Managing money. Grand Cross might be powered by solar panels and conductive thermal plates in the hull, but money is what really makes it go round. Well, yeah, you have to
no
actually
shit.
you have to pay money to fix those panels. And the conductive thermal plates, you can maybe get some water boiling that way, but here's the thing: you want that shit to radiate out into space. Here's the thing in space: you don't freeze to death in the capsules usually. Usually, you cook to death. In fact, that actually happened, I think, with the original Skylab, or it was one of the early space stations. Basically, several of the thermal filters, those big things that they just radiate heat. They didn't open right, and the sun shield didn't open right, and there was a good threat that they were going to cook. Yeah, space is not
Is
pretty.
this the Russians or the Americans?
Americans actually.
Hmm.
Soviets weren't the only ones that had catastrophes. Space is dangerous in general. And
Oh
don't get
yeah,
me
no.
started on the disastrous Euro rocket that they tried to make once, which combined like three. Was it the British top stage, which was supposed to be a short-range payload rocket, some French thing, and the German one. I don't even think that one got off the ground.
Why the British were using Imperial?
It's squabbling. Squabbling. That actually also is the reason why Europe once tried to get together in the 80s to build what's called the Euro fighter, which was supposed to be you pull everyone's resources together to make a fighter that fulfills the roles needed to fight the Soviets because this was during the Cold War. The problem is usually France in these cases because France always has an opinion that's very different from the others usually. And that's what sunk the Eurofighter. France wanted it to be, I believe, they wanted it to have carrier capacity and to be a multi-role, while the others were like, no, we just want it for interception. And because France said no, that sunk. Same thing with the Eurospace rocket. It's really funny because if you look at combined European efforts, it's usually France that causes the problem. So managing money, though 2020 lies in the distant future, humanity is still held back by a capitalist system, i.e. the thing that prevents me from starving to death in a gulag. Wealth is either invisible or all-consuming. If you have it, you don't worry about it. If you don't, you can eat away at your mind. In Hardwired Island, you don't track exactly how much money your character has. Instead, you check their cash and their burden, how much they can spend and how much they can't.
I'd honestly say that simplifies it. It looks like they're doing the World of Darkness system.
Oh, the resource system.
So it says burdens are ranked from 0 to 4.
Oh, you
Default is
didn't have that
1.
in World of Darkness. In World of Darkness, all you had was a vague resource pip. It was one of
Yeah,
your talents and traits, and one pip meant that you weren't homeless, but you were really poor, and five meant you were stupidly wealthy. Uh, they're kind of having it so that you have liquid cash, and here's all the obligations you got. So at burden rank 0, you're comfortable. You don't go hungry. You can afford a nice apartment. You can pay most bills, and you can handle emergencies. You can also take time for education, training, and hobbies without feeling guilty or pressure to work. At 1, you're getting by, so you're fine. At 2, you're
Yes.
precarious. You're dealing with an underpaid job, predatory loans, the fallout of emergency. You've gotten good at cooking with kelp and rice, which you buy in bulk. Still not as hardcore as kibble in Cyberpunk. Kibble is basically processed food that is essentially dried that you re. It's bachelor chow from Futurama. At 3, you're struggling. Most of your money goes into blah blah blah. And at 4, you're destitute.
But you probably rely on financial aid, though that's increasingly rare as Unity believes poverty is caused by personal failings and bad genes.
Unity. What the hell's Unity? It,
That's the
oh, is that
corporate
the evil
party.
corporation fake
No, no, no,
government
no, no.
party?
It's the Republicans.
Oh,
It
it's
is
the it's
just
the
the Republicans.
it's the Republican Party that they made up for the space station that's run by the corporations.
And so then there's literally no way to invest, save. You're always at the risk of poverty.
Yeah, that's I mean, I don't really get it because well, I'll get into it. From Pagan Pilot, resources and social standing scores are also from Call of Cthulhu, and you're correct. I want to say the authors ripped that off and coded it in the message. Yeah. See, you know what you could do in Cyberpunk? You could play the corpo. You can play the greasy corporate slime ball. You can play the media that basically sucks up their lies and prints it out to the masses. Or you can play the hard-nosed, crazy journalist that's like telling everyone about the truth. One of the
Presume they don't
beautiful.
live that long. Presume they don't live that long.
Oh no, well, I mean that's the thing in Cyberpunk. Your characters usually don't. Like one good bullet or two to the body, and you just drop. But I find it weird that if I was gonna do burden, 0 should mean yeah you're comfortable, but 0 should mean you actually don't really have any obligations.
And, and to be honest, shouldn't it be? It feels like it should be the higher number, the better you are.
Well,
Zero being comfortable just doesn't match up. Zero being you have nothing makes more sense.
it does mentally, but I think the logic is burden. The higher the burden, it's bad. That does happen sometimes with mechanics.
I think the other thing is they have that sharing the burden mechanic.
Oh boy. Yeah, like they're living in the Bugman apartments right here.
I mean, it got a fridge,
They can't be that bad off. They
internet
managed to
access,
buy KFC and fucking potato chips.
sofa.
I mean, they can't be that bad off if they got that. Sharing the burden. One-way characters can lessen their burdens by pooling their resources and living together. This is from the point of view of someone who's never lived outside of the city. Which, to be fair, in a cyberpunk setting, this is pretty common. But the one cool thing about cyberpunk as a setting is they had different accommodations. The worst of which are the capsule hotels. You know those things, where you essentially crawl into a tube.
Is
You
that in
crawl
Japan
into
or
a tube, and that's your fucking house. It's like you're strapped in a coffin. It's a nightmare. And then from there, you have different housing rates at different values, ranging from, oh, you're in the combat zone, which is an active war zone among gangs and completely lawless, to, oh, you live in the corporate zones, which means they're extremely luxurious and well kept. If 2 or more characters with different burdens live together, find their effective burden by adding them together and dividing by the number of characters and rounding down.
or say or average? Just say calculate the average.
When the character adds their burden score to a roll, use their effective burden. If two or more characters with the same burden live together, treat their burden scores as one lower. And if one character in a shared living space suffers an economic shock, every character they live with suffer one too. For example, Soyoung and Maru, I think that's the cat thing, have an apartment together. They both have burden too, but by sharing living space, it's more like a 1. And in this case, burden 2. And then there's the hobo.
I think Maru's actually the corpo that Soyoung accosted.
Oh, it's the lady with the glasses.
Because Lee is the cat boy.
No, I thought Lee was the robot.
I don't know. Oh, no, you're right. Maru is the cat boy. Girl thing.
Yeah. Economic shocks. The capitalist system of Grand Cross.
Designed to trap people in poverty so that these people
they
they don't know
haven't
anything
even
about economics. Like
they haven't even read fucking Das Kapital. They have
that's
not
not a
even
poverty
touched the
trap.
basics of Marx.
That, that's not a poverty trap.
You heard it here.
The ruling class doesn't design that. That's a fact of a failed economic system. That's not the fact of a ruling class. Before every mission, if your burden is above 0, you must roll 2d6 plus your burden. If you roll 13 or more, you suffer an economic shock. A delayed paycheck, rising rent, an unforeseen emergency, a theft, or just general hard times. They say one is you're slowly building up some savings, but mostly paycheck to paycheck. You can afford a few subscription services, enough luxuries to feel content.
Subscription service. Don't you like how
Cut the
they have?
subscription services then.
Do you like, by the way, that their version of poverty is, oh no, I can't get both Netflix, Disney Plus, HBO Max, and whatever the hell Apple's making. Oh no.
But at the same time, and you don't normally go hungry. So somehow they're able to afford luxuries, but they can't eat often.
Well, they're operating. It's almost like the actual fucking meme of, you know how people sometimes complain about financial burdens and then at the same time they'll go out and splurge like several dozens of dollars on beer and shit like that.
Yep.
Same logic. I really think that your economic burden at 0 or in 1, it's not that you're what you would call comfortable, or have 4 and 5 be that. You basically, from 5 to 0, 0 being homeless, 5 being you're actually making enough money that unless the economy completely melts down, you're probably fine. Or unless you get fired or something.
And how bad must the economy be if you can continually every mission technically suffer rising rent?
Well, you see,
It's not like they're adding utilities.
it's because corporations bad.
If you roll was 15 or more, so that means at minimum. So no, if you're destitute, or no, if you're struggling. That's at minimum struggling. You choose two consequences, including getting kicked out of your apartment, not eating,
One of your
mental
limbs stop working.
exhaustion.
Social roles fail.
Use this sparingly. It's not interesting if this keeps happening. So
Then
if you
why the hell
keep
do you have it
rolling,
happen after every fucking mission? Get what I mean? Like, why would it? If that's the case, maybe don't have it happen every fucking mission.
it that is actually perhaps an interesting mechanic, but again, the fact of the matter is that they're clearly trying to drive a point with this, and it just doesn't match up with reality.
They're trying to drive a point which is from the point of view of someone who hasn't even read the bare basics of Marxist economics or any economics in general. No Austrian school, no Mahanian, no, not Mahan. What's his name?
Malthusian?
Malthusian. No Malthusians.
No, no.
No Keynesians. No
Mal
Berlin
Malthus was the
school.
population guy.
I meant Keynes. I meant Keynes. Like nothing. They have not taken a macroeconomics class. They have not taken a microeconomics class.
And dear Lord, if they ever read Hayek.
Oh, I can't wait to see how Grand Cross works as a city. It's gonna be so good. It's gonna be like
On fire all the time
it's gonna
because
taste like rat
CEOs are just
poison.
deliberately causing flames.
The CEO, no, the CEOs might randomly become homeless within the span of a week.
That that actually would be quite interesting as a character.
Like you just have a dumpster fire of a city where fortunes literally rise and fall within the span of days. But yeah, Corpo Lost It All is always very fun. Up Grand
Mr.
Crossed
Burns
Upheaval.
in and Cross.
I have Mr. How's Southern Confederate bonds doing? Pulls out the ticker tape. I haven't checked this in a while. I haven't seen it since 1923.
Smithers, why didn't you tell me about the crash in 1929? It's
I,
15 years before I was born.
I'm sorry, sir, but that was 25 years before I was even born. That's what you always say, Smithers. I love that's like same energy, and I love it.
Actually, that would be funny as one of the villains. You just enter in there and it's Cyberpunk, but he's still using ticker tape
Like
this
no,
side.
he's just genuinely Mr. Burns, and he doesn't even realize he's destitute.
Or no, it is Mr. Burns, but he's just the same age. He's just still.
Like he still has. Now let me look at my portfolio. He pulls out a Manila folder and he rifles through. Ah, yes. Let me see how my Enron stocks are doing. Like
To
just
the
that out of touch.
anti-asteroid protection system.
So the distant future of 2020 is uncertain. If the political and economic landscape shifts, it's possible the station will fall on hard times, and when the money stops flowing, it'll always be the rich that get bailed out first.
But who's sending the money?
Also, 2008 happened like almost 20 years ago. Holy shit.
Eh,
I mean, it's still affecting
14.
us today, but
But the money stops flowing. It's always the rich that get bailed out first. Where's the money flowing from? They're already saying the governments aren't interested in this, so they're not getting any aid from that.
wouldn't it have made more sense if they were still technically owned by the top 8 UN countries?
But it
You know, the members of the
technically
Security
would be like the
Council?
space station. Like, as an example, like, I believe Russia's pulling out of the space station, so they're not sending either support or people up there.
That's because Russia's too
That
busy
could
committing financial suicide.
that could be like an example of like countries being disinterested. So you have one of the
Yeah, like
G7 countries just pull themselves out.
or maybe you have money flowing, like let's say the East African Union forms. It's like the European Union, but for the East African countries. So you have like Ethiopia, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, and they just kind of they put money into it because they're interested in building their satellites or something. And you're in orbit, you can kind of you're not in the best orbit for it. I think that's L1, but you could just like maybe that's how they get more money. They invite new members in.
Story event, the station suffers widespread social upheaval, economic downturn, or a major disaster.
From Pagan Pilot. To be honest, some of the late stage corporatism critique is valid. It's just steeped in smarminess and pretentiousness to the point of not being a fun game. The problem is we've heard this all before. It was in the 19th century, you know. And even before then, like in the 18th. Like this isn't new. The very first speculative bubble was over fucking tulips, man. Tulips were the NFTs of, I think that was the 17th century or 18th century. Like we're not really seeing anything new. That's the thing. I mean, hell, there's steles in like 2000 BC that actually describe the same problems. Upheaval should be used sparingly. It's best used as a major event in the story arc, so when you want to make a mission special,
But you
or
can
when the
just
group's
fuck the
seriously fucked
players.
up. Yeah, everyone just gets burdened by one.
Cybernetic burden. In the future, there's an entirely new form of economic oppression, augmentation. Whether you are augmented to stay competitive at work or for healthcare reasons, it's often easier to get new installations subsidized than maintain current ones. Once your company drops you or your insurance company decides you don't need another arm, you're usually sad with the cost of maintaining your own cybernetics even when they're irreversible.
So wait, so they're able to make intelligent AI robots, but they can't actually do basic things like recloning arms out of stem cells.
I guess they went more to the cybernetics than the biotech.
I don't think they thought through this at all. Because
They
they're
definitely
able to
didn't.
perfectly engram animal brains, right? Like that's how they make the robot brains, by basically patterning it off of animal brains. So they're able to mimic that perfectly, which means that they have the scanning technology and recreating ability of doing that. But at the same time, they can't just fucking regrow an arm.
That or they're saying whatever corporations are rather going to want you to keep buying the new ARM, essentially the iPhone version of ARMS, instead of giving you a completely new healed one.
Well, I mean, you could put planned obsolescence by having the arm spontaneously begin to rot.
Uh,
Just
but
put the Blade Runner replicant virus that kills your arm within the span of 5 years.
they definitely didn't think it out because they say at the bottom that the increase to burden does not apply to cosmetic or medical augmentations. If you get a set of cat ears or an arm that works exactly like a regular arm, that doesn't increase your burden enough to matter.
Bullshit. Bullshit. I
Eh,
actually
You're,
that actually make your burden rise up more because they're consumer
yes,
goods?
because it's not covered on, it wouldn't be covered under healthcare.
Actually, it should be the opposite. Your work gear should actually be non-burden, and your cosmetics should be. Like, oh, I need 20 fingers on my hands to, data analysis for a maze co. Yeah, that's covered by my plan. It's a garbage plan, but I don't have to worry about the cybernetics if they break because they just instantly fix it as long as I don't constantly break them. Meanwhile, what do you mean I have to pay all this money per month to get my stupid cat ears to keep working?
And then
Like
they
it
say
should be the
cash.
opposite.
They say cash is a temporary resource. Oh, no,
Yeah,
you
it's
literally you
liquidity.
cannot invest, you cannot buy assets, you cannot ensure your long-term viability. This game literally prevents you from actually succeeding.
Well, yeah, because you have to constantly struggle and be the oppressed, even though you're a weird bugman that makes 100 plus K a year.
If you have unspent cash at the end of a session, roll 1d6, you lose that much cash. Unexpected expenses, cybernetic maintenance, old bills, gambling losses, or other short-term losses.
So just magically lost.
That is, so why play then?
What would make more sense is if your cash, if you had leftover, do a roll, and if you make the roll, it drops your burden down since you've made investments that worked, or you paid off stuff.
They do say that.
Yeah, but it's kind of dumb.
It's 10 minus your burden.
It's kind
You
of
can spend
dumb.
one cash to boost a roll. That's how much that's worth. It
How
actually
do you
doesn't say,
do you just throw money at the security guard to improve your chances of shooting him?
I don't,
Like
I'm thinking maybe it's like a bribe. You just say, okay, I can't shoot
no,
you
no,
because
like it's
this
during a
involved.
gunfight, right? and you're getting shot at, do you just throw money at them to try to make them go away? Like, do you? How do you use cash to improve? Do you have to pay your subscription fee on your smart gun or something to make its aim receptacle actually work?
So I just realized this. Sorry, my burn. They say at negative burden, so you can go to negative burden,
Yeah, isn't that weird?
but they don't describe what that is.
Yeah, they don't.
And
Negative
there
burden,
doesn't
but
seem to be a way because all the reductions of burden are to like a minimum of one or minimum of zero.
I still like how you can use money to automatically improve your aim to shoot someone. You can also use money, I guess, to run away, but that kind of makes sense because you run away and throw like a wad of cash, and then like they just kind of start picking it up like Dracula. They got to count the coins. Also, they never state where Space Corps get their starting capital. Uh, Book started cartel or started in space with no Earth investments interest. Yeah, the evil, the evil corporations just they're space companies now. What they did before doesn't make sense. You know what Arasaka did? Made sense. You want to know why? It was originally the company that was hired by Japan to manufacture their rifles during World War II. It was then eventually taken over by an ambitious ultra-nationalist dictator in Desire, and that's why it's the way it is. Militech has its own history, as do a lot of other companies in Cyberpunk. And in Shadowrun, they go into big detail about all of the big corporations. If you look at the corporation's handbook, they go into all of them. Like,
Aren't they
why
run by
does As
dragons?
technology work? Hmm?
I just remember I haven't dived into Shadowrun that much. I do remember though something about dragons owning the corporations.
Oh, they don't own all. They don't own all of them, but they own. But a couple of them do. Some corporations are literally just ways for dragons to accumulate hordes. Yeah.
To be quite honest, actually makes a lot of sense.
There's also a saying in Shadowrun: never trust a dragon. Actually, never even talk to one if you can get away with it. And also, don't try to double cross a dragon. It's not gonna go well. Mainly because dragons in that setting are, well, they don't reveal their true powers often, but when they do, things change, usually for the worst. Dragon ran for U.S. president. Yeah, I could see it. But for example, As Technology is not run by one, but they literally run on sacrifice magic.
Wait. What are they called again?
As Technology.
Oh God,
They also run
fucking
the
fun.
local eating. They also run the local grub hubs.
And
Stuff and Shack, I think it's called.
speaking of Grubhub, next thing is gig work apps.
Oh
And you can
Christ.
tell when this was made.
Oh no. The digitization of society has led to the rise of the gig economy, which is maybe the only economy in the city, actually. We'll see. A flexible system in which workers use online platforms to provide services and the people who own those platforms to exploit them. Typical gig act seeks to disrupt an existing industry by offering similar services at lower prices. Oh, fuck no, they don't. Achieved by not getting their workers the pay and benefits they're entitled to. It's almost like it's because those workers aren't actually given the training and equivalency that the company would. I could go to a roofing guy, right, and pay for my house to get re-roofed for 10K, or maybe not even that high, but a few $1,000s. Or I could go to Jimmy from Craigslist, and he'll do it for $500 and a beer. Who do you think has the more training? Who do you think is less likely to make it so my house doesn't fucking leak?
I'm gonna say Jimmy. I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean,
Christ, maybe.
either or. Maybe the company guy is on cocaine or whatever, or constantly drunk.
Let's see the apps. You only use one at a time. If you quit, you suffer that app's drawback. Let's switch. Head patter. 8 cafe.
Anyone with a cash can hire maids of any gender presentation. Presentation?
Well, I mean, in this case, you are paying for maid service, so.
No, gender presentation. I just had to point that out. This ain't Eclipse phase, buddy. Eclipse phase, you can get away with that because, well, it's literally post-human. You, you can make whatever body the hell you want. Do you
Not
want to
just
be a
gender,
giant tarantula? Sure.
species.
Do you want to be a beluga whale comedian that also knows how to fire an Uzi? Sure, you can do that. Do you want to be a half slug atrocity? Yeah, you can do that. Sorry, it's just the first result is Maid Cafe. That's like such 90, not even good 90s weeb. This is like out of touch weeb, you know?
The app is big enough that a head patter anime is due to come out sometime in 2022.
Oh god, it's like Snuggies the movie.
You know, the app's gimmick is that the maids wear cat ear headbands. Well, what if you don't
Christ.
want cat ear headbands?
Yeah, like the thing is, maids can be of any stripe. That's kind of bleeding into Monster Girl degeneracy, you know?
And it's a maid service. It's just to clean apartments, do busy
Uh,
work.
oh no, I can see other things, degenerate things. They're kind of hinting at it a little bit,
So yeah, I assume that's
but the
a
employee
happy
and
ending.
but the hiree and the employee has to both agree to it.
The clients,
Yeah, the
oh,
client
the
and
rich
the worker.
weeaboos
Rich weeaboos. Yeah,
from babysitters.
I
Yeah,
just
that's who you want as a babysitter.
some random person that you hired on maybe as a worker. Oh, and if a client tries to harm a maid, Headpatter is willing to send in private security, initiate legal action, even ban them from the platform. They have an IP to protect now, you see.
I mean, that's honestly better than probably most.
That's
Uh,
literally better than that's better than Grubhub, that's better than DoorDash, that's better than pizzerias, by the way.
just imagining someone trying to hit one of the workers. His SWAT team comes in.
I hope they're all dressed up as anime maids too. Come on, if you're gonna go
Gotta have the
full
company
into the
image.
stupidity.
Hunter. Next one.
Hunter. There's a lot of criminals in space, not just because of socioeconomic pressures. You'd think in space there'd be less chances for crime. I mean, I guess because it's unsupervised, you can argue maybe more. But I feel like if you're on a place with limited equipment in society, an atmosphere and things like that, you can't really get away with big crimes or busts because at any point you might accidentally bust the hull open in a shootout or something. FBI raid, but with cat ears, yeah.
Hunter's dirty secrets that makes most of its money through information posting fees. But the ideal hunter is a middle-aged white conservative who submits 10 conspiracy theories a day.
So the concept of hunter, because here's the thing, head patter, the maid service, I I can genuinely I can genuinely see it, right? Like that's an actual app I could hypothetically see. I don't think it would make money. I think it would eventually fail, but you could probably run something like that, you know?
Well, we do have that today. It's called an escort service.
Yeah, it's basically that. Oh, also they do have to. Also, they do during head patter. They do mention trans folk, by the way, as part of the corporation culture. Just as a heads up, it's not a big deal. I can see it. Like everyone has tastes in their mates, you know. But Hunter, I don't see like what is this the bounty hunter app service?
It is.
That's kind of dumb.
Oh, you look at the footnote at the bottom. You can't just go around beating strangers at random. Only cops can do that.
Go fuck yourself, writer. They actually can't. If you actually pay attention, yes, the unions will protect them, but there's a reason they have to write reports. And sure, corrupt districts do have a habit of occasionally misfiling them. But you do know there's a reason why we have those. Oh God, what are they called? The little dash cam equivalent that you wear, vest cameras. Just like that. This is so painful. Also, like I said, this one makes no economic sense to me.
It seems to be both a bounty hunting and also a reporting. They just keep randomly posting people to say they've committed a crime.
Yeah, doesn't that not make any sense from a business sense?
It also says if you use force, you must file paperwork to justify it, or the cops will get you too.
Go fuck yourself. Also, to give you a comparison, you know, Shadowrun actually has this. They're different levels of security, and they each have their own payment plans, level of quality, because they appeal to different clients. Like, let's say you want a fairly good security team, and if this is how a hunter worked, like as a security team or as a private military corporation, you know, like private security. If it was a private security firm, wouldn't that make much more sense?
Yeah.
So back to Shadowrun. I had a train of thought crash. If you want pretty good service, you go to Lone Star. Lone Star is usually fairly high quality. Kind of your Texas Ranger gunslinger. They're actually fairly well trained. They're pretty good at doing their job. Maybe but if you don't have the budget or you're, you know, a poor stuffing shack or whatever, you could hire maybe hardcore to cover you. And the hardcore are the budget versions, and they tend to go fast, loose, and kind of heavy. They're they're not great, but they're better than nothing, you know. I think there's worse and better than both of them. I'm just giving examples as the level of security plans. Like Hunter maybe is your private security, maybe not the best of that either. Look, if you're gonna critique the economy, maybe try to figure out how businesses could survive in said economy. Bounty
Like
hunters, that could maybe work. They are a thing, but they're usually not organized like this.
the next one is Roof Dash.
Basically
DoorDash.
DoorDash.
The app prides itself on an exclusive selection of contractors who have leg skills and sweet parkour moves. So you're getting your food by somebody that's parkouring. That's
That's
got to be
entertaining.
terrible for storage.
Oh yeah, it's complete. Oh no, my lo mein has spilled all over in the bag. And half of the soy sauce got all over the delivery driver's crotch.
And then they also say they commit wage theft by stealing tips, which, considering this would be digital, there would be a record of that. And I'd also presume another company would come up that does the same thing but doesn't steal tips.
I think this is just the writer complaining that DoorDash has essentially double prices. Because I've used DoorDash before every now and again when I can't get out of the house and I really don't feel like cooking. So what happens is they add a 15% fee to kind of cover for to allegedly cover for everything, right? You know, the price of gas, to make money off of the transaction. They do have to make money off of a transaction. And then sometimes they'll add another delivery fee on top of that, ranging from 99 cents to up to $5. And then you have to tip them. I think this is just the writer complaining about that, where there's three levels that they nickel and dime you. You could
So if
include
the
un and still have corporate dystopia. Yeah. So basically, they just kind of parkour deliver. It's just DoorDash.
so there's only three services: maids, bounty hunters, and food delivery.
Are you fucking kidding me? This is the gig economy, baby. You're really gonna tell me there's no like home DIY group, right? You're telling me there's no equivalent of that. There's no equivalent to Craigslist. There's no used items dealers.
Well, you see, that would be a benefit of capitalism, the ability to have a secondhand market.
I'm just giving many examples of very commonly used online methods.
It's
There's
also not a corporation, so they can't complain about it.
uh you don't have a modeling company, gig models, photography companies where they just stiff the employer, they stiff the cameraman. It-
Hmm.
like there's all these business, and this is just the basics that I can think of for gigs, which would be services. Actually, they've yet to name a gig that would replace an industry. Like, how would a gig economy work to replace a solar panel? Like, do you just hire them from Craigslist and hope for the best? There's no extermination companies. Like, come on, imagine all of the flies in there, like all the
Oh,
horrifying insects and bugs that sneak in.
and most likely rats. Somehow there's going to be rats up there.
Come on, don't you want to have to fight space rats that are like twice the size of normal rats because of the low gravity?
I mean, I don't think they exist, but sure.
Come on, space rats. They're like twice the size of normal rats. All right, the community. Grand Cross is a living city full of people from all walks of life. PCs aren't just defined by the things they have, they're defined by the community they exist in. Residents. Your community is mostly defined by the people in it. When play begins, the group decides what the community actually is. Whether it's the apartment block they live in, an online community, an activist union group, or something else. Then each player names a resident they know and what they do in the community. These residents form the communal pool of context that a player can draw upon. So, your players can just make up whatever the hell they want. I know the GM can say yes or no. I'm just pointing that out. And they give an example of that. Oh, they bring up fixers, which is a nod for Cyberpunk and Shadowrun. That's their term for essentially the guys that run the gigs or the side hustles. Every time the group achieves a milestone that has something to do with the community or impacts it in a noteworthy way, the player can name one new resident.
So no matter what you do, you just get more people.
You just remember more people, yeah.
And the maximum is 10.
Because you can't remember everyone. The
Example,
example they give is a bartender where you all just schlep into their bar. You just schlep right in and just huddle to plot your secret illegal actions. You'd think being a regular would mean it'd be more likely that the corporate security or the garbage officers, in their own words, in their mindset, let's keep that in mind, would stop them pretty easily if you have predictability. Also, communities have a burden, and they always start at burden 2. There are no rich communities in Grand Cross. They always I forget what level 2 is. I think that's the one where they complain they can't buy Disney Plus and eat at the same
so
time.
that's one. Two is, I guess, they're barely living.
I think that's the one where they just survive off of ramen and fucking hot dogs. So at the beginning of each session, rather than every mission, this is each session. The GM rolls for economic shock for the community. They roll with advantage. Communities on Grand Cross are under constant threat from corporate interests these days. For every one the result exceeds 12 by, the GM chooses one resident to face economic shock, a problem or an accident. Chosen residents cannot be called on during that session. Players might be facing individual problems or facing a large problem together, such as a local business closing or an unwanted faction muscling into the area. Helping with these issues can be opportunities for missions, short scenes between missions, or role playing moments. Ignoring, of course, that the people who wrote this book almost certainly benefited from kicking out the original residents of whatever of whatever building they live in. Keep that in mind. If the GM decides a resident's problems are too severe and the PCs aren't doing much, they may leave the neighborhood. Residents who leave are not replaced and automatically increase the community's burden by 1. And here are some example communities. The hashtag Zero Cool Hacker Collective. Oh boy. Was originally formed by a group of online friends looking to hone their skills and have some fun. When a relative of one of their members was put in the hospital by a member of the New Barons, see this page way far in the fucking book, they turned their hacking skills towards taking down members of the group and others like them.
President Neon Trotsky.
Yeah,
You couldn't have made him an ice pick enthusiast or something like that.
that'd have been funnier.
Or was Trotsky a librarian?
I don't think they put any thought into it. Hadar Logistics, it's a courier company based out of Adams. Where's Adams? Who knows? They help people with shopping, transport sensitive documents, and do all kind of weird jobs that involve moving things from point A to B. Okay. L4 activists, nothing is stopping you from simply choosing the disaster activist movement as your community if you wish. Why is this one written so differently from the other two? In this case, you're probably a subgroup within the movement. This one's written very differently from the other ones, and I don't know why.
I think because the community is supposed to be much more smaller, more, I guess, local focused.
It just feels dumb, though, that it just feels like it's kind of out of place because of that. Oh, Christ, we're getting into some really bad ones after that. Latte Night is a used bookshop and cafe Voyager that opens just before midnight and closes just after sunrise, which probably means it isn't making a lot of money.
That's
Most people don't work night
wow,
shift
that's
like
awful.
that. The regulars are a strange and eclectic bunch, but once they pass through the door, they're fellow book and coffee lovers. They look out for each other and sometimes help other customers. I get the feeling they don't go to these places, you know? Yeah, you get that feeling the author probably doesn't go to places like this, but they go to like a Starbucks or something.
Feels like they just read that from some book.
What is it with awakened people and their obsession with bad cafe ideas?
I, I feel like that's something from the '60s, or
Yeah, but they're not cool anymore. Okay,
yeah,
Grandpa. Okay, Grandpa, put on your beatnik shades and fucking snap your fingers out of here. You ain't cool. You ain't hip. You ain't with it with the kids. Don't get me wrong, a cafe is almost certainly better than most regional garbage. Though if you can't get to one, I'd recommend. Hilariously, McDonald's has pretty good coffee. I'm not even a coffee drinker, but like for some reason, McDonald's coffee is not too bad from what I understand. Law Zero Cell. Operation Robots and Empire is a cell of the android gang Law Zero, formed to keep tabs on AGI research in the corporate world, and if possible, steal it. In theory, ORE only answers to R.
Anil, Anil,
Oh,
Olval,
what the fuck are we
Olival,
reading? This is not a good example of a community. What the fuck did we just read?
terrorist cell,
I guess.
Marsha Stretch
Oh boy, here we
is
go.
an LGBTQ plus enclave in the Neo Melbourne district, founded by queer builders who felt Grand Cross could use a space for them. These days, it's developed into a gentrification problem.
Oh, are you actually going to point that out? Huh? You're actually going to point that out. Interesting. Very interesting. Also, I've never been a fan of the word queer because it's just an attention seeking way of saying gay or bisexual. As far as I can tell, it's just an attention-seeking method.
Well, Lane, right in the quiet residential district in the Adams Ward, known for its street art. The community is a nice little apartment block with a side street with a graffiti wall. Residents,
By the way, keep in mind that this shit stack is only 8 years old as a town. Remember, Grand Cross was finished in like 2010 or something.
and
No, actually, it's
Space,
even older, newer than that. It wasn't it 2014 or something?
I think so.
Horrible.
Spacetown is a shopping district, a major pop culture hub, and a sacred place for geeks.
Consume product and eagerly await for next product. Ignore the slaughterhouse that stands before you.
If you expect Spacetown's weird bullshit, might just be your home away from home.
Eat
This
the
was a
pain away
space
by consuming
Akibara.
product. I think it is supposed to be that, but it's like you get what I mean. These people don't seem really hip or with it on the actual pulse of culture.
The names.
Like I have issues with how they like even their taste on anime is fucking stale. And in Japan in general, they don't even seem to understand that. Last time I've seen people that out of touch was the guy who made Yandere Simulator. We got a full page spread of some pretty anemic fucking art that looks like they might have stolen it from an anime somewhere. Like this is supposed to be their big posing thing before they show the I guess they show the title card.
And somehow the Matrix is in the background.
Oh, I mean that's how you know it's cyberpunk. You also like the bad digital blur effects they added. There's like just random dead pixels on the screen.
That's what that is?
It's
It was like
It's on purpose,
flakes
by
of
the way.
something.
I think based on what we're looking at, it's supposed to be from the point of view of maybe someone looking at them, but it doesn't make any sense. Oh boy, we finally made it to chapter 3. What an odyssey of nightmares we have gone. This book, I'm actually surprised on how much this book still has, even if we're trying to go through it pretty quick.
I mean, it's 400 pages.
Yeah, but I'd have expected to gotten past this by now. Oh well. Always ask, what can I do to help? I can bake extra food for the needy, so I do. Samir can help me organize delivery. Oh, you're just automatically volunteering someone else? Okay. Ping isn't great with numbers, but she can talk to androids. How is
Wait,
that any
what?
different from talking to a fucking person? Ken can punch someone so hard their kidneys fall out, which we do not need, but he can also lift large boxes. We all have something to contribute, and we all cover each other's weaknesses. You don't cover it. You don't describe any of the weaknesses you cover.
Well, ping.
Well, yeah, but like, I just feel it's weird that talking to androids is the positive.
And, and wouldn't that require numbers in some capacity?
Well, I mean,
Because they're
androids are just
computers?
robots with human brains, effectively. You,
Aren't
you're
there
just
cyborgs?
you're just talking to a fucking cyborg, basically. Yeah. How is that any different? Is it because you can empathize with the fact they can crush you like a fucking Twix bar? Anywho, yeah, we finally got to the 7 jobs, the 7 occupations that your character can have. Yeah, it took us this long to get here. There's the fixer who solves problems with their skills and contacts, the hacker who basically just talks to computers, the influencer who solves problems by using garbage apps like TikTok and fucking Instagram, the operator, which is basically the rigger from Shadowrun, the soldier, which honestly that's not any different from the Street Fighter. This is just him. This is just the writers re-kitting, I believe, Shadowrun to a degree. The last few are very Shadowrun inspired.
I just saw someone with the Street Fighter.
Street
Examples.
Fighter is basically Street Samurai or Adept.
Well, no, also cosplayers who get really into it.
Oh boy.
Protesters, martial arts enthusiasts.
Oh, you already skipped to there? Okay.
I'm just looking at the Street Fighter thing.
Yeah,
But
because we can just kind of.
the
I'll
one thing probably to look at is the
Influencer's
influencer.
also pretty cursed, so we'll look at that too. Street Fighter, fight for what they believe in, put their body on the line to do it. They're basically adepts slash street samurais.
And then
Cosplayers,
the
oh god, this is cringe. This is just stupid. Like, you know what the street samurai can do besides punch people really hard? I mean, the adept does that too, but you know what they can do? They can cut you up with a robo sword. Oh look, you get the Jackie Chan fighter ability. You can literally use ladder fu. You have the ability to disarm people too. You can learn people through battle. Oh yeah, you get the samurai sword. All right. Now let me go all the way up to influencer because that just sounds like a fucking nightmare. That just sounds terrible. Has unlocked the true potential of the World Wide Web, getting a bunch of people to see things your way, so it's an even crapper version of the Rocker Boy. They can make friends anywhere, and they've made enough on the internet to crowdsource solutions to their problems. Examples: artists, bloggers, forum moderators, game devs, IRC operator. Trash. Just fucking
actually,
trash.
one sec. They say journalists a lot, and I realize a fixer can be a journalist, a hacker is a tech journalist, influencer can be a journalist, operator, operator, tech vlogger. Um, the only one soldier can be it,
You know what my rebuttal to that is?
and the thief can be a journalist.
You know how good, how useful journalism is now in current year? You can literally aggregate reviews now, at least when it comes to film industry. Robots literally do their job better.
Well, it's the superior future,
I'm just
according
pointing
to
out.
one reviewer I think we both know.
Occupation, choose one. A doggo. Oh god. Oh god, I can feel my cringe senses tingling. My skeleton wants to rip out of its skin just from reading that.
And the talents. You just DDoS.
Big mood. You know what my response to this is? Be gone, brand. It has that same energy of fast food people on Twitter pretending to be relatable. Crowd-funded, which you can get cash that way. Everyone knows you.
You use a gig app that strongly leverages your personal online brand, whether that's food photos, nudes, or being a dumbass. So you can just be a thought.
Yeah. I mean, I did see the Twitch stream lady. Remember her? You know, the
Uh,
one with the rabbit ears? I'm not surprised that you can be a literal Twitch thought. Maybe you can leverage your
extreme.
career on being the dude who got kicked in the ball sack by a dude trying to kung fu kick a beer can into a trash can.
So you can be extremely online, but you can also be terminally online.
What's the difference? Oh god, you know what I like about extremely online? Dark side Phil. It's literally dark side Phil. You literally are begging chat to handhold you through the process. Chat, I don't know how to hack the AI that's shooting us. You can take Raid Shadow Legend sponsorships.
Honestly, this could actually be a good way to roleplay it as a YouTuber.
This is here's the thing. This book sucks in a lot of ways, but there's enough quality and structure that you can build an amazing trash fire of a campaign out of it. You can play a Mad Max style Chuck E. Cheese robot out to destroy the fucking company. You can play Darkside Phil as a YouTuber. You can play whatever degenerate fucking sewer goblin you want. This is the new everyone's John, in my opinion, at least to some degree. It's almost up there with Lunch Rush in terms of just how much of a nightmare this is. Relatable content, viral. Yep. And the other ones are pretty standard, so I'm just going through. Oh my god. The thief gets parkour. Generic talents, basement dweller.
+1 rolls to accessing station basements, navigating or seeking through them. You always know where the nearest accessible basement entrance is. Wait a minute. They're on a space station.
Yes.
How?
They mean sub levels, where they put stuff like electronics and wiring and
Oh,
shit like that. I'm explaining it for them because they couldn't fucking do it themselves.
I mean, they put it in there just for the joke. So,
Yeah. Like, here's the thing, most of their jokes don't land, but when they do, it's funny. Harder, better, faster, stronger. Oh, come on. Come on. Don't drag them into this. Don't drag Daft Punk into this fucking Oh, hey, look. That's a sign of the anime they like to enjoy. Fucking Lucky Star, hell yeah. Ogre Frame, I think that's another anime that's not tweaking the bells. There's no fucking way they watched Weird Science. This is just member berries. Like, remember this? I saw it and I clapped. Here's another full page spread they're pretty proud of. It's one of the guys from Command and Conquer, Red Alert, I think, eating at a ramen stand.
reference Command and Conquer, I guess space has been infiltrated by capitalism.
Oh, Tim Curry is going to be so upset. Tim Curry is going to be so sad. Why is there a box of fucking tissues in the back? Also, here's the thing: wouldn't it make more sense for this to be like an automat? Like one of them vending machine things. Like if it's just a ramen stand, wouldn't it make like you could just you press the ramen thing, it like plops out the plastic, the cheap fucking paper bowl and sprays everything into it. I like how this
Yeah,
ramen stand is so sad it can only seat one person too.
and it only has 3 options.
Yeah, you have that ramen, you have that ramen, and you have that ramen.
I guarantee it's so poor. That's why they have the tissues. They can't afford napkins.
Is it raining by the way in their satellite city?
No, I think that's still the
It,
visual glitch they're trying to do.
it's not working. I think they're only using it to hide the sometimes they'll intentionally make something look worse to hide errors or to, hide bad line work. You think that's why they're doing it? Or do you think
I
it's
have
just
no
like
idea.
failed stylism?
I'm assuming it's the latter then.
Okay. Assets and cybernetics. Oh boy. We might be able to get through this one, although we will have to stop after that. Actually, do we really want to cover this chapter? It's basically, oh, I mean, it's the equipments area. I'll take a quick look. Oh no. Yeah, we can do this. There's some cringe in here. So assets are some of the stuff that you have. I assume that yeah, you use cash to get them. You can gain assets. Sometimes you lose them due to economic shock. Sometimes they're permanent. Sometimes they are not. Asset tags include critical, illegal, obvious, rad. This asset is radically cool, possibly even tubular.
Uh,
Oh.
like they're trying to be every decade they've been alive.
They're trying to be so funny, and 9 times out of 10, it just fucking fails. Oh, also, illegal means that it's illegal for you, not the corporations. Blah, blah, blah. Late stage capitalism horse shit. Blah, blah, blah. What do you mean I'd get lined up against the wall and violently executed by Jethro and Tyrone? Basic items include clothing and other common items. So I guess hobo means that you still get clothes and a
A,
smartphone.
a smartphone or computer,
You can have economic burden for be homeless, and you still probably have this.
a cheap bicycle, any required wheelchairs, mobility scooters, or any other aids. Because
You think they would actually put charge a premium if you've somehow managed to get yourself so fucking fat or crippled that you can't do that, you know?
because obviously in a dystopian cyberpunk corporate world, they make sure that everyone has mobility access.
Wouldn't oh god, can you imagine a payment plan like you have a season pass to use your legs?
Oh,
Like if you don't pay your season pass, your legs just stop working. Your robo legs stop working. Can't you see it?
yeah,
I hate
that
it.
actually would be very dystopian.
You have to have a payment plan to even use your robo limbs. Or better yet, you have the virtual HR site, that allows you to see like AR, and like they just randomly a fucking ad for Raid Shadow Legends or Manscaped fucking plays as you're about to snipe someone, and you can't see shit because you have to wait for the ad. Oh god. If you really want dystopian, just use some of the. There's this really great website that shows just how fucking shit most web pages are without ads anymore, without ad blockers anymore. Just have that and apply it to cybernetics, and it's usually really fun in a horrible way. No, I got something even worse. You know how your legs don't work? I got something better. You have to pay for DLC to do certain maneuvers with your hands.
Oh, that
Your basic just allows you a basic grip, and you have to pay DLC to use individual function, quality of life upgrade, neural network enhancement improvement because they feel dead without them. What do you think of
I'd go.
paid DLCs for robo limbs?
I'm gonna go even further than that. You can only DLC to access certain biological functions. Like if you want to get a burst of adrenaline, you got to pay for it. Your body just won't produce it.
No, loot box hormones.
Oh,
Oh, I got another good one. I got another good one. Monthly rent to have your artificial kidneys dialysis you.
oh, that is.
Oh,
I
oh
don't
no,
think we should be given any more ideas.
an alcohol plan for your artificial liver, where if you exceed your alcohol limit, it just refuses to process it.
We'd go farther and say pumping blood.
You got to pay your heart. You have to pay your heart rent. 500 a month to keep. No, it's like the minute plan from a cell phone, where it's like you have to pay X amount for this amount of beats.
But that actually does remind me. I forget the name of the movie, but it's that one where everyone's functionally immortal, but the economy is now run on time.
Oh,
So you just
I know what you're talking about. I don't remember the name of the movie. I think we brought it
so
up the last episode too because it really fits. Oh no, I got something even better. Watermarked memories.
oh
You have to
oh
pay a
that's
monthly premium to remember your childhood without the fucking watermark.
well then that can actually be interesting if as in you can instead of memories degrading over time, you have perfect understanding of your memories.
Oh, yeah, and when you lose them, it's because you didn't pay for the premium.
Then how do you know you've lost them?
You don't. You don't. You just get reminders like you have exceeded your memory storage. Do you? And like maybe they just randomly delete parts of the random ones like Memento or like 51st Day. Like you just develop a form of amnesia. God, imagine if God. Let's be grateful that modern corporations don't have that capacity on our prosthetics and life yet.
They're just deciding to remove features from cars, charge them instead.
Oh yeah, that could be fun. House, where your character lives is up to you. You're unlikely to have a lavish house, especially in Grand Cross or spaces at a premium. Decent apartment with basic furniture. Home isn't guaranteed. It's headed towards a housing crisis.
Heading, the way they depicted it, it's probably in one.
Also, here's my big question, right? Why don't they just go to the moon? Also, it's a limited space station designed for capacity, and it's not been operational for longer than 10 years. How are they already experiencing a big fucking housing crisis? Where are these
Because
people
somehow
getting the
everyone
money to
wants to
make it to
go.
space?
Because somehow everyone wants to go there, but everyone is also disinterested in it.
But there's moon colonies, and I think they mentioned that they've started up a Martian one.
I'm assuming it's probably the elite go there
Here's actually a fun cursed fact. It's entirely possible that Venus is easier to terraform than Mars.
because it has an atmosphere. I mean, all of them do, but
Well, that's the
it,
cursed part. All you have to do is reverse the greenhouse effect, and you can put what are called solar shields, effectively just reflective bits to deflect sunlight. And I think you have to do other things, but like compared to Mars, I think they said that if you're at this point where you can geoform planets like that, it'd be easier to do it to Venus, which I find is really cursed. Makes sense though, because a lot of people, not a lot of people, but fun fact, Mars is an irradiated desert. Not just a desert, but the ground itself is radioactive because of the massive amount of solar energy that slams into it.
oh, that
Same with the moon, actually.
why the fuck are we going there then?
Um, because it's further, because in a way it's still the second easiest planet to terraform.
Eh,
I think the only other one that'd be easier is the moon Europa, which has its own problems.
yeah, isn't it because it's was it methane? It's just composed of.
Oh, that's Titan. Titan also has the problem of temperature. Europa's problem is it's in Jupiter's orbit because Saturn's nowhere near as bad, but Jupiter basically shits out a lot of radiation.
Why
So
can't reality just match science fiction?
because
I don't
then
want
it'd
to
be
have these
cool.
problems.
It'd be cool, and we can't have that. We're in clown world. So here are some usables. 3D printer, cost 4 cash, specialized. So you got a 3D printer. Allows you to make handheld components. Oh god, they're sticking with the doggo thing.
You can have a Cato, Herato, or a Hawalo.
No Ratto, which is a problem. You have a dog, it may be natural or artificial, but it's cute as heck. The first time you interact with anyone socially while you have a dog, you have advantage on your first social roll against them. If the person hates dog for whatever reason, you have disadvantage instead. Given time and effort, a dog can be trained to do various tricks. Also, the cost includes daily pets and walkies. I kind of want to crawl into my own fucking grave. You can combine assets, apparently.
Oh, so you could have, looking here, you could have a mobility aid that is also a dog.
Yeah?
If I'm getting that correct.
Yeah, you could. I'm trying to find because there's dreamers. It's the dreamers. We're not here to play coy. The dreamers are the robot things. I don't see where this is in reference to. My guess is it's
Combining
the drone
assets.
gun. Oh, combining assets. I'm not smart. Drone gun, fake IDs, first aid kit, licenses, membership. You have been invited to be a member of something. The fucking rascal scooters, the Scooty Puff.
It's a
Recreational
cool high-end
drugs.
one.
I like how rum, heroin, and dank kush are in the same thing. So they've legalized heroin, I guess, in this timeline. Shard card, a computer tool frequently used by hackers. It was an original replacement for the office computer. It's run on a mainframe. Your shard card can be plugged into a Wi-Fi device called a Blade, which streams your user session to an attached monitor and keyboard. Okay, so what? It's a miniaturized computer that's like the size of a USB. Okay. Now my question is, how the hell did they get the miniaturization technology to that degree, and for that price tag? I'm just asking. It's not a big deal. It's just,
I'm trying to
uh,
think of something funny, but I'm just going to say corporations. That's
uh,
not how
be,
they're able to do it.
because Cyberpunk, the plot needs it. Skateboards cost 2 cash. It's rad and specialized. You can get similar assets for roller skates, sports bikes, blah 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 blah. Thieving gear. You like how let me look. You like how a shard card is the same price as a fucking skateboard?
It says it's uh,
You also like
no,
how a first
it's
aid
just a
kit
skateboard.
you also like how a first aid kit is the same price as a motorcycle? The very complicated engine, electronic motor engine and parts to make a full-sized motorcycle, unless they're going diesel and poisoning themselves in the space station. But yeah, the electric motorcycle costs as much as just fucking gauze and like iodine. You like that?
No, it's
Ah, yes, the thing
maybe they
Movie
could have done
Bob
it by a
craves,
point
verified
system.
account.
Like they could have done like instead of it being 2 or 1, like 0.4, 0.5.
You know what would be cooler is if they just did an entire equipment charts list where they just had the equivalent in space bucks or whatever they call it.
I
Cyberpunk
remember,
did that.
I
They
remember cash is supposed to be short term. So
I just feel like if you're gonna have a fairly elaborate equipment thing and prices and services, you might as well just have an actual currency. Yeah, it's a bit of a pain in the ass to track, but it's not that hard. Verified account cost is priceless. So essentially, what Movie Bob craves. Here are some
you only get a
locations you
slap
can
on.
pay.
So you only get a slap on the wrist for all the most egregious actions. It's hard to block you, and you can fine tune who gets access to you. That's fairly accurate.
Yep, it's pretty embarrassing though. Here's some wearables. Badass headband. Priceless. They must be earned. Rad Street Fighter only. That's kind of embarrassing. Like
Rioting gear.
trying to be cool, but it's so lame.
Not riot gear, rioting gear.
Well, yeah, it's the thing that Antifa goes dressed up as and then run away after they fail to ambush a dude 9-1 and fucking lose. Just pointing that out. You don't look. You're trying to look cool, but then you run away from like two dudes with like a stick. It makes you look really fucking pathetic. Really fucking pathetic. Oh, also, you like how it's half the price of fucking power armor?
It was
You li-
designed for nurses and construction workers.
well, I mean, how else are you gonna have the 110-pound lady lift up the morbidly obese man stroking out on the floor?
That actually does make a lot of sense then.
I mean, I was doing it as a bit as a joke, but no, there's a reason why the concept of exoskeletons have been so popular. It's also a way for people who have been disabled to actually walk. It's been flouted as an idea for that. I just find it funny rioting gear is half that price.
And that it's a gas mask, padded clothing, and a shield.
Yeah, also, you like how if you buy that and a skateboard, it costs as much as a powered exoskeleton designed for military conflict. You like how buying a. How much was the dog?
Too.
You like how buying a dog and. Let's see. You like how if you have buy a dog and a mobility aid, you could also get combat armor.
Oh, so again, the economy doesn't make sense, so
I'm just pointing out stupid examples. Programs, assets used by hackers, aka script kiddie bullshit. I like how you have to pay for your hacking abilities. You like that? Fucking script kiddies.
on the
You'd think
hacker
that you can make
brands.
up your own. Yeah, you think you'd make up your own. Brand name hacker brands.
LeetNet,
God, they're so out of date.
LeetNet. At least they spelled it and didn't use numbers.
Yeah, that would have been more embarrassing. Also, Death Pizza, which
Is that
is,
a reference?
I think it is.
Giant gay hedgehog.
Okay.
Killallnerds.exe.
Okay, that's actually kind of funny. Hey, I mean, when they land a joke, it lands a joke.
Also, I find it interesting. The hacking suite isn't illegal, but all of the programs are.
Also, here's my thing. If you're a hacker, you should be able to make your own suite. Like, you get what I mean? How it shouldn't cost cash to do this, unless it means, unless it represents the time you spend doing it.
I have a feeling the cost is more abstract than just money.
I think they just don't know what the. I just think they didn't fucking think it through. I mean, they kind of did, but they thought it through, but they didn't think back on thinking through. That's like the Pagan Pilot. That's like the one funny thing. The one. There can be only one funny thing at a time. Hey, at least on the bright side, we haven't seen something absolutely terrible like fucking Pickle Rick or something. Come on, you know they would fucking shove that in there somewhere if they could get a chance.
I, I don't know. I feel like that's not their taste.
I feel like it could be. Drone, blah, 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 pilots. Here's some of the stuff that drones can get. And here's some operator tags that you can get. And how do these work? Oh, they just start with that, and you can buy additional things to put on them. Same with yourself. And they have police drones. Let's see if they have any more ACAB bullshit in their fucking thing. Oh, here we go.
Um,
The police have a variant called the King Prawn, which they usually reserve for serious investigations and anti-police protests. It has the automated flight and passive surveillance tags. The King Prawn passively captures data at all times and uploads it to a central police server where it's cross-referenced with police networks. This is illegal even for the police, but they don't tell anyone, so they've gotten away with it so far.
I feel like they should have used pig instead of prawn.
They should, but
Because
that's too obvious. That is way too obvious. Also, you like how they just stole the plot from The Dark Knight? That's literally the big conundrum in the fucking Dark Knight. It's the thing that made Lucius Fox give up on Bruce Wayne.
all prawns have a unique feature. If a hack is detected, they self-destruct. Several key Wi-Fi components and attempt to return to base if possible. PCs can acquire a jailbroken one. So wait, they're illegal, yet somehow people have been able to obtain them.
They didn't think this through. They did not think any of this through. You'd think this would be something that you, the players, would have to do yourself. Like, if you want one, you have to manage to ambush and capture one. And also, illegal tags can only be repaired with restricted drone parts. Weapons for when things go south.
Guns.
Guns are rare and tightly controlled on Grand Cross.
They're only available at all because corporations
Oh,
want to make
God.
money selling them.
You know what one of the cool things about Cyberpunk and Shadowrun were? And all those 90s animes? They had a fuckload of guns. They had so many guns.
If they're rare and tightly controlled, then I would assume the only way they could do it is if they were very quality usage, but they want to make money selling them. Why would you make them rare?
See, in Cyberpunk, because I'm more familiar with it than Shadowrun nowadays, Cyberpunk has a variety of weapons that you can buy from. In fact, two of the largest of the corporations that rival with each other quite a bit specialize mainly in weapons productions, Militech and Arasaka. And those are fairly expensive, high quality, usually extremely high quality. But if you can't really afford that, one option is you can always get what are called old guns. Basically, they don't fade away, they're just not quite as good. Another thing is you can go for the cheaper stuff like budget arms. Budget arms ain't exactly great, but they're usually within a decent price tag, or Steyr, or some of the Euro stuff. And if you're a hobo or really, really, really desperate, you can go to Dailung. You can go to Dailung and hope it doesn't blow you up.
I remember seeing a clip from a 2077 game where you just purchase a gun out of a vending machine.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a thing you can do. It's only like I don't know, 50 eddies, 50 to 100 eddies for that type of gun. They're not very
Apparently,
good, but it's just very casual.
well, a gun just costs three,
No matter what, even though they have different price tags. Range critical
and
ammo restricted. When you get a gun, add a brand tag to it. Oh god, you have to use branded guns.
Tetsu have a Wi-Fi and come with a targeting app.
They come with Wi-Fi. Oh Christ.
The app that comes with is easy to jailbreak, sucks, and grants no bonuses. They say, is it Omnidyne is popular with gun nerds. You can tell that um, they don't know the proper lingo. It'd be gun nuts.
It'd be gun not well, on top of that, they clearly have never touched a gun, let alone fired one. Because these are not
Also, wait. So Ogremech guns take many types of ammo by a revolutionary self-adjusting chamber and barrel mechanism. They reload an Ogremech gun once per mission for free. It fucking costs to reload.
Yeah, apparently it does. I think the logic is you're supposed to be purchasing bullets and magazines, but they didn't think of that. Also, the problem with Ogremok existing as a weapon concept. Okay, so how familiar are you with the art of firearms?
Somewhat.
Okay, so answer me this. Can I shove a NATO round into a Kalashnikov?
I would assume no because different caliber.
Okay, vice versa. Can I shove a 45 caliber bullet in a pistol rated to fire 9 millimeter?
I don't think so.
Nope. 9 millimeter's too small. Wouldn't fit. See, you can get away with smaller caliber bullets or smaller millimeter sized bullets if you have what's called a sabo round. Basically, you put some shit around the bullet to make it work. Mainly used for artillery. Can't do it if the bullet's too big for your gun. So what this gun does is it transforms the fucking barrel and firing mechanism to allow itself to fire a different caliber round casually, no effort whatsoever, no worries about the thing exploding because of the thinning barrel, none of that. Pagan file. Also, gas and pressure differences. Well, it doesn't matter. Ogremok can just like you buy an Ogremac's, I don't know, Ogremach like 9 millimeter parabellum pistol. You can fucking fire a Barrett 50 caliber round down the fucking.
Though I am imagining that as you take like a I don't know 22 pistol and then just a 50 cal just goes out there and just turns the guy you're shooting at into mush.
You take a 22 caliber pistol, like a little holdout gun. You shove a fucking 12 millimeter, 12.7 millimeter, 50 cal. Fucking blast them with it. And when you're done, they could then just start shoving in rifle rounds. You can start shoving in 6.5 millimeter Swedish Mauser Swedish into it and fucking fire. Oh my god, that's so stupid.
Yeah, actually, no, that they have that as a gun tech switchable magazine. You have two types of ammo in your gun at once.
Oh, that's so stupid. That's so
I don't know
stupid.
if they're meaning because they say later that you can get armor piercing and hollow point if they're trying to do that, but it does seem to say that yes, this gun has you could get a gun that is not Ogre Mock and have that tag. So you've decided to buy ammo of which half of it can only be used.
Yep, and then you can just duct tape it and now it works. They do have special ammo, which costs 2 cash. There's armor piercing and hollow point. Can't. Oh god, yeah. You could probably shove a mini ball into that ogre mock and it'd still fire, even without the fucking black powder, because they didn't think of it. You could be just as the founding fathers intended and fire your musket rounds from it.
Also, I noticed they decided automatic and shotgun, same thing.
Are they stupid?
At short ranges, this gun can attack multiple opponents at once, 3 to 5 people if they're clustered together.
Not how it works. I bet they wouldn't even know what automatic meant. Like if you asked them what's an automatic weapon, they wouldn't be able to figure it out.
Lazy, automatic rifle 15.
That's probably what they'd answer with. So yeah, you got armor piercing and hollow point, which that's just a nod to Cyberpunk. They have the same system. There's AP, there's standard ammo, and then I think there's DP, which does damage calculations a bit differently. And there's a couple other specialist ammo that you can use. More type tags that you can get, like hefty, sharp, stun, and big. Example weapon. This lady uses a sturdy, high-grade shovel as a part of their work. When used as a weapon, it has the melee and big tags. Grenades cost 4. They're ranged and illegal. And the types are flashbang, frag, high explosive, smoke, tear gas. Okay.
Page 90, does one of the tags says, there are no rules for poisons,
Yeah?
because poisons are too slow acting. A matter in the average fight, and not even the cartel makes poison weaponry. They don't want to get sued for poisoning people, especially not when they can dismantle environmental regulations and do it legally.
Go fuck
Which
yourself.
that's,
That's
I mean,
another
not only do they,
unfunny go fuck yourself.
yeah, but there's also the fact that so you can't assassinate somebody with poison.
You
There's
literally
somehow
can't you literally can't just take drain cleaner and put it in a fucking syringe. Okay. You know that would work if you pulled it off.
you can get a nail gun though.
Yeah.
0 or 2 if you actually want to buy one for some reason. So they say it's improvised, but I'm pretty sure that also means you can just steal it.
Yeah, they didn't think this through. Oh boy, cybernetic augments. The American physician Herman Biggs once said the human body is the only machine for which there are no spare parts. Tetsuo is proud to announce we have proven him wrong. Okay. Cybernetic augmentation is part of life on Grand Cross. Here's how they work. Any character may start with one or more augments. The main limit is you can't end up with more parts than you started with. Only 2 eyes, 2 blah blah blah. It's designed with the need of the person in mind. Well, I thought you said it was designed for the job they're on. Remember how they hammered home repeatedly that it's for the job that you have to get these augments for? I guess not anymore.
Yeah. Except when they're just needs the job. Different would cost their employer money. Healthcare doesn't cover it. Overseen by a male doctor who noticed the patient was a woman and decided they knew better, or someone involved in the process was a bigot,
Another go
which
fuck yourself.
I
You
or the
love
designer
you
didn't
love those casual like elements of contempt they just throw in willy nilly whenever they want.
also it seems like cybernetics are so prone to error. Why would you get them?
Because the setting demands it. That's literally the only reason. Designing augments, you have to decide what it's intended to do, and you get a specialty. Augments add defense specialties and weapons or restricted hardware. Decides if it enhances the intended function. And then location. Other functions.
No, no, no,
Aug-
no. Nope. Hold on. Enhanced paragraph, second last sentence.
if there's no specific location, you have to install that Wi-Fi hotspot. It's your choice.
No, it's the is it really good at punching Nazis line.
Oh God.
So there's space Nazis. I mean, that's interesting.
You know, given we covered that there's no gigs, I'm kind of glad that I'm kind of sad I didn't get to use the title Potemkin Village for when we actually get to the city because it's even stupider than this. Oh God, let's just finish up augments and I think we'll call it for tonight.
Yeah. Oh, next page, androids and cybernetics. As mechanical beings, androids are easier than humans.
By the way,
Um,
cosmetic augments they don't cost anything on your burden because of course they don't.
as they say, quote, was it? They are is probably paying for them, but they're common and simple enough that the costs aren't worth tracking.
Bullshit.
It, This person
Bullshit.
probably has never shopped for themselves then.
Yeah, because here's the thing: your personal use, it's usually stuff that's like for function that usually costs less.
Um,
Like it's a different thing shopping at a fucking like the secondhand clothing store than it is to buy pure brand garbage somewhere else.
Medical augments like immune system boosters and HRT regulators.
Of course.
Um, by
I like how those
prosthetics.
are the two that they bring up first and not the replacement hearts.
Um, so they
Also,
the tech,
corporations bad, but they have free healthcare. Notice that.
yeah, it's
Notice
interesting.
that. How convenient.
Um, I guess yeah. So they say they're mechanical beings, but they're also they're the androids are made from the full body prosthetics. I'm
Yeah,
still confused if they're supposed to be like artificial intelligence or if they are the cyborgs
they're
with everything
both.
replaced but the brain.
They're both. Dragon Ball logic.
Uh, then
Mainly because they didn't think it through and they're kind of not smart.
full body prosthetics. Some people suffer dysphoria, disassociation, similar ailments. It's not uncommon for full body cyborgs to feel emotionally distant from other people, even feel they lack identity at all. Of course, other cyborgs love it.
Yeah.
And so that's their perspective on the removal of your body and replacing it with cold, hard, unfeeling metal.
Yeah, well, in Cyberpunk, you lose your mind slowly, and you lose essence each time you get augmented in Shadowrun.
Also, wait,
To
didn't they say previously that there wasn't any negatives to cybernetics?
They did, but then they wanted to waffle back because every other sci-fi setting RPG did have did have setbacks for it. Because in Cyberpunk, you slowly lose empathy and your humanity, and it makes you more cold and prone to acting like a crazy person. And the same actually kind of applies to Shadowrun in that you lose essence, but it further fucks you. Because if you're, say, a spellcaster and you have augmetics, it can cripple your spellcasting. And if you're an adept that basically uses like your body's natural ki or whatever, it completely fucks you. You have to be pure au natural for that shit to work. Because, Cyberpunk traditionally has technology as a dehumanizing element to your society. It's almost like they're saying another message that isn't the message. As for appearance, it's just treated as obvious. The mod tags you get include ECM hardened, jailbroken, overclocked,
Overclock.
and rad.
Your cosmetic changes technically can be hacked.
Yeah, you like how the stupid cat ears can be hacked. And these are just some common augments.
Cyber eyes. Beyond the visible human spectrum, zoom and enhance, low light, playback video. Oh, so it's Google Glasses, but for eyeballs.
Yep.
They say a popular is the LMJ eyes, the proceeds which go to the cartel operated Neuroses Awareness Fund, whose goal is to get cyber neuroses recognized as a medical condition. Did they ever state what that is?
I think it's just a nod to cyberpsychosis, but it's seen as bad because how dare you body shame a person for wanting to become a robot?
Also, doesn't this mean that the cartel's actually,
They're
again,
supposed
healthcare
to
is
be
free,
kind of the bad guy because corporation's bad.
yeah, but if healthcare is free, then getting this recognized would mean that people are getting free treatment.
Well, you
So
see, I can't have our dystopia be a dystopia because that would make me sad because how dare and get yelled at because how dare I force you to pay for basic life-saving operations. Meanwhile, in Cyberpunk, you know how fucking hardcore they were? Oh, you died, tough shit, get over it. Unless you get lucky and the company decides to put you into a meat wagon suit and fucking bring you back as a Borg. And even
Actually, no,
then, that's a fate worse than death.
my favorite thing was the I forget what they're called, but essentially the ambulance slash
Trauma team.
yeah, where
Yeah, you
it'll
have to
get to
pay
you.
for your medical services, and the higher your ratings, the more they give a shit about you. And because you're paying them better. Like if you're left outside near a combat zone in cyberpunk terms, if you don't have a good health plan, they'll just leave you to fucking rot. Who cares? They'll just take your corpse and fucking sell it for organs. But if you get the promo, they'll actually come in armed to the teeth to save your ass. Yeah, you can't do that in current year, at least if you want to appeal to these people, because they can't have actual hardship because that makes them sad.
No, no, they can have hardship, but it's hardship that is
Instantly overcome with no thought whatsoever.
instantly overcome and due to outside influence. Notice how, like, the burden thing, the only reason it gets reduced is because you need to pay for services or there's an economic shock. It's nothing that you do, because you can get the cosmetic stuff for free, not your economic responsibility. It's everyone else's fault.
And here's some more things. You got your cyber heart, sensory filters, mood detector, smart body system.
You can act as a Wi-Fi hotspot.
Oh, that sounds horrible. That actually
Stomach.
sounds amusing in the bad way, but I don't get why you'd ever have that.
This is actually stomach. For the Android or full body prosthetic, you can ingest human food, take part in socialization, taste and olfactory sensors, plus a readout in your eye of your food's composition. You can dispose of the undigested food later if you remember to drink stomach cleaner first, take it out and serve it to somebody else.
Oh, that's gross. That's
It's
fetish
gross,
material.
but I can definitely see like androids doing that. They want to be more human.
That does
Find out
feel
what
like
taste
that
is.
that does feel like fetish feel though, because that you can serve it back to someone else after you stomach clean.
I could see it actually. It's like a joke. Somebody tastes something, that's good. Vomits it back up. Here, try it.
Yeah,
Not
but
understanding the implications.
that's not what they're going for. At least they're not going enough into it. From Pagan Pilot, good point. You can be whatever you want except responsible for your actions. It's the world's fault, not yours, but you can have cat ears. Yep. Work enhancing suits, spring legs, blah blah blah. Here's some illegal stuff. Chronicle
I,
perception dilator. And no, it's not that dilator.
I know. I thought that first.
It's because of what they write sometimes. No, it gives you bullet time.
Oh,
Cortical
motion
implant.
amp.
It is designed to assist with neurological problems. So if you're getting senile, this can help you.
So wait. So they've solved Alzheimer's.
Yeah, but it's illegal or restricted because big pharma bad. Now watch as I try to defend big pharma because they said something I agreed with because I abandoned all dignity and commitment to my actual ideology since 2000 when corporations realized I could just put a fucking rainbow flag on it and buy my love.
Emotion amplifier. The emotion amplifier is illegal to enhance hormone production, uptake in patients, enhance emotional highs and lows. Okay, I can see that be illegal. It's literally automatic drugs.
Yeah, that's essentially what it is.
The emotion suppressor isn't, is
It's just
restricted.
restricted, yeah. Same with combat augments.
Rocket fists.
Oh, is that down here? Yep.
Yeah.
Rocket fists. I mean, that's kind of they're trying to rule of coal, but eh. And you can make your own augments and assets. They give an example of how they made something up.
And
Augverts. What the fuck?
and notice also it's by another person. So
Oh God.
did they
Did they?
shop around for people to add stuff to this game?
They might have. They might have to pad this out. They hired people on Fiverr to finish this for 'em. Oh God. Or maybe this is like part of the marathon, like when they asked for money.
It's ads.
Basically, they wasted how? Let's see how many pages they fucking wasted.
Two.
2 pages. Yeah, Cyberpunk did that, but in the span of like not even a page. Basically, it reduces the price of your cybernetics if you just clearly brand the shit out of it, since you're a walking advertisement board.
It's this entire section.
Also, this should lower the price. This should also lower the price of your augments. These are kind of the things that we were making fun of when it came to like you have to pay money for your legs. Like it has elements of that, but it's not done well.
This is it's a little bit of a world building thing, and honestly, it does seem interesting. But I find it weird that it is just right at the end. It's not mentioned before.
Yeah, they just kind of threw it in there, just like at the last minute.
People that can't afford augmentation receive a free augmentation. These augverts function like a regular augment, but do not increase burden. You can
Oh yeah, that's literally just them ripping off from Cyberpunk.
only take one augvert per character. An augvert should occasionally hinder PCs, but not constantly. So, actually, I find this kind of interesting.
Well, yeah, because Cyberpunk did it first. Also, if it's restricted or illegal, it cannot be an augvert.
Actually, I think it would be funny if it did, but it was just advertising whatever criminal syndicate gave you the
They should.
augment.
That would be funnier, but they didn't go that route. Also, comedy and consumerism. Augverts are a great way to add humor to the game and score satire points against consumer culture. You don't get to say that when you made this as literally just, I love this anime, but I need to cater to the current year message.
As can
Describe the
reveal
ads,
Tid
say the witty slogan displayed below holographic. Yeah, basically all that.
as can reveal tidbits about everyday life on Grand Cross, what people suffer from, what they aspire to. Instead of showing plot relevant info on TV or in the newspaper, it could appear above a player's head. Commercials have an agenda, but they sometimes contain a nugget of truth. I don't know if that was in Cyberpunk as well, but that does seem actually an interesting idea instead of
I mean,
doing the
I don't
typical
hate
thing.
it. I just feel like I just feel. I mean, it's not trivial. It's in here for a reason. I think it's just after the previous segment, you know.
Yeah, it's just very tagged on.
And here's another page spread, and this is, I think, where we're gonna call it. Check send nudes.
Oh wait, no, look to the left.
Cafe
Cafe
Bebop.
Bebop.
Yep. It's a love letter to my anime. There's E Honda, but made sure not to be too obviously E Honda, or else we'd get sued to death. I will say I like this piece of art. The
Oh yeah, this is definitely better.
My only complaint is because it's a full page spread, this is a thing that they always keep fucking up. The composition's bad. Like I get that I guess the idea is it's supposed to show the scale, like the verticality of the station. The problem is the busiest section that your eye is towards the bottom. And while that makes sense because you do read because you can in a PDF you do read it that way. In a book when you open it, your eyes are just going to go down to the bottom here.
But what they probably could have done is
There should have been a half page
had
spread.
half page, or it'd be a bit weird to do, but do a double page where you have
More stuff at the top, yeah.
you have something on well, you have some writing on the top, like the chapter title, and then the next one you have it on the bottom side. But
Yeah, but they don't do that.
it does look like it's supposed to extend.
But it doesn't. But yeah, we made it pretty darn far. Like we tried to speed run it, and there was just enough in there that we kind of couldn't. So what was your thoughts on what we covered so far, Sit?
I mean, it's interesting, and just they're trying to depict this world as, oppressive and dystopian. As we said, they can't be anything that's the player character's fault. So they just doesn't mesh well.
Yeah, my problem is you can see that there's a nucleus of a good game in here, like a relatively simple game, and it's just kind of ruined by the direction of the writing. Well, it's not ruined, but it just kind of they try to be funny, but they can't because the action, like they're just not able to usually, and sometimes they get really sanctimonious and preachy.
Every time they're trying to do something comedic, like with the police, like, yeah, let's make fun of the police, but also remember that they are a tool of the state to oppress people.
And there's also the problem that in your head, at the end of the day, if they ever had any trouble, the very first thing they'd run to is towards the police. It really, like, it just feels hollow because of what you know of the person even before you even read it. Like, you can base it just on their reaction, on on the way they write things, that at the end of the day, they would snitch and they'd get stitches. They would.
Oh,
Other
yeah.
problems are that they have put enough thought into making a system that is efficient to use and actually fairly decent, like fairly comprehensive. But they also didn't think back on what the consequences of that means. Like me buying a fucking skateboard in a little chihuahua, I could also buy full on combat armor designed to kick down doors as a SWAT member. Like actual military hardware. For the
Yeah,
price
that's
of a dog, a skateboard, and like I forget what one of the one price items are. I can own a building. Like I
like
own the leasing rights of a whole building.
I think back to Dark Heresy. It's just an example. You had the first edition where you actually had a currency, even though it was only, I think, for that system or the sector they were in. But the second one abandoned that entirely. So it had the same thing. We had common, plentiful, rare. Uh,
Yeah, you did requisition rolls. That's what Only War did.
but it fits because, again, there really is no like central currency to the Imperium. It's all favors. It's all what you can find, what you know. It works for that, but in this case, where they explicitly have the concept of cash.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's trying to eat its cake and have it too. Like it's trying to have its cake and eat it. It wants to simplify cash, but it didn't go all the way into just abstracting it out entirely like what Dark Heresy did.
I think what might have helped as well, honestly, maybe expand out the entire cost instead of it seemingly be like from a 1 to 10, 1 to 20.
1 to 20, and I'd also make it so that burden levels were 1 to 10.
Yeah, and with I guess the way would be 5 would be breaking even, 0 would be
You're homeless,
no, well, the way the burden thing works, you
or
want 10 to
you're
be
well
homeless.
off. Yeah,
0 is you cannot be a player character because you are so rich that you have to be the antagonist.
you have to be the bad guy. Yeah. Also, a problem I had is the example communities assume that you've already read parts of the book further ahead. It's not really tuned well because of that. Like it's okay to have further nods like, "Oh yeah, here's the robot gang and we'll go into more detail on this chapter," which they don't do. They give you the page count and that's about it. It's just little formatting things. Like mechanically it's fine. The biggest problem is the writing and tone
Yeah.
because it wants to do the dystopian sci-fi setting. It wants to be like Cowboy Bebop where you're on trash planets. It wants to be like Trigun where everything's starting to fucking die. It wants to be like Shadowrun. It wants to be like Cyberpunk where things are dour, but they can't actually have it be dark because that would be too scary.
Not just dark, but just complex. They're fine with dark, where it's a corporate dystopia,
Well,
but
no, no, they're fine with it as long as they can then insert a Marvel tier fucking quip or joke.
yeah,
They
there's
can't let it
nothing
ride.
there's nothing explaining why these corporations are rising. Why is the government not doing anything?
Yeah, why is the government of Grand Cross not doing anything? Why is this all happening less than a decade after the fucking station was finished? It's not even
And
been
I
10 years.
and technically the next section does go into it, but again, it's bad.
You want to know what Cyberpunk did, and actually what Shadowrun also did? They had time pass before you actually got to the setting. To give you an idea, the Cyberpunk setting that you know of, where you have the United European Community, you have the U.S. essentially falling apart, Japan having its powerful zaibatsus. You want to know where the point of divergence began there?
I believe
1942.
yeah,
That was when its divergence began. In in this though, in Cyberpunk and Shadowrun, it happened because of the New Age awakening, and it took several, and they had a few decades worth before you actually got to the first edition. Like it wasn't just less than 10 years after the fucking station was built. Like let's say this took place in 2050.
like that'd be much more believable.
Oh yeah.
But they want to get the joke of it's the far future of the current year.
But the problem is the event that they have that triggers it happened in 1997 or something. Like they had an asteroid hit the planet and it didn't kill everyone, so that's good, but they don't really go into details about how these advances in technology also kind of came about. So yeah, I know that there's a good chance next week we'll actually have a Saturnalia special. I have been roped into covering Requiem for Rome finally. And by
Oh,
that I mean actually asked Tech if we could cover Requiem for Rome. So expect that either on the 23rd or as a late Saturnalia, very early New Year's present. Depends on if we have time next week. And thanks for coming on, Imsit. I would have been solo this entire run without you.
uh, hopefully I come across good.
You did fine. You did fine. Have a good night, everyone.